to help us sift through a mountain of research and expert opinions on
Well,
this.
mountain indeed.
Ready to explore what all this screen time might be doing to us and how to find a healthier balance.
Absolutely. And to you, our listener, I think you'll find it fascinating and maybe even a little alarming how deeply intertwined our lives are with technology these days.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Right off the bat, one of the stats that really blew me away is that the average person spends something like 11 hours a day consuming media.
11 hours.
That's more than half of your waking hours. Think about that for a second. Even if we don't feel addicted, that has got to be having some kind of impact, right?
It certainly does. It's not just anecdotal either. The American Psychological Association, the APA, found that nearly 20% of adults say technology is a major source of stress. That's 1 in 5 people feeling significant strain because of their devices.
Wow, that's a bit of a wake-up call. It makes you wonder what's going on beneath the surface. I mean, beyond just feeling a little frazzled.
Yeah.
What are some of the more concrete downsides of being always on?
Well, one of the biggest issues is sleep disruption. We're constantly exposed to blue light from our devices, which messes with our natural sleep-wake cycles.
Right.
And it's not just adults. Studies have shown that kids who use digital devices at bedtime get worse sleep and are more likely to have weight issues.
Oh, wow.
There's also the impact on mental health. Heavy tech use, especially social media, has been linked to increased anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's the never-ending struggle for work-life balance.
Right.
It's so much harder to switch off when you're always connected, and that feeling of being on call 24/7 can be exhausting.
So we're bombarded with all this information, all these pings and notifications. It's no wonder our brains are struggling to keep up. But here's the thing. Why are we so hooked? We know about these downsides, yet we still find ourselves reaching for our phones every few minutes. What's the science behind the scroll?
It all comes down to brain chemistry. Every time we get a notification, a like, or a message, our brain releases a little hit of dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that's associated with pleasure and reward. It's basically what makes us feel good. So in a way, our devices are training our brains to crave more and more of this digital stimulation.
Yep.
It's actually quite similar to how our brains react to addictive substances.
So you're saying these notifications are hijacking our brain's reward system?
Yeah.
No wonder it feels impossible to put the phone down sometimes. But wait, if we're hardwired for these dopamine hits, isn't that setting us up for failure? How can we realistically compete with that kind of brain chemistry?
That's a great question. It's definitely a challenge, but it's not impossible. One thing that's really important to understand is that we can retrain our brains to find pleasure and satisfaction in other things besides our devices.
Okay, that makes sense. But how do we actually do that?
Well, one approach is to focus on activities that release dopamine in a healthier way. Exercise, spending time in nature, listening to music, connecting with loved ones.
Yeah.
These are all things that can trigger those feel-good chemicals in our brains without the negative side effects of excessive tech use. We also need to be mindful of how we're using technology. Instead of just passively scrolling through social media or watching endless hours of videos, try to engage in activities that are more active and stimulating, like reading, writing, learning a new skill, or creating something.
So it's about being more intentional with our tech use, not just letting it consume our lives.
Yeah.
You mentioned digital minimalism earlier. What does that actually look like in practice? Can you give me an example?
Absolutely. One example is a study that found that limiting social media use to just 30 minutes a day actually decreased feelings of loneliness and depression.
Really?
It seems counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But by reducing our exposure to the carefully curated highlight reels that we see online, we can actually improve our overall well-being.
That's really interesting. It kind of flips the script on the whole social media makes us feel bad narrative.
Yeah.
But it makes sense when we're constantly comparing ourselves to others and feeling like we're not measuring up. It's bound to have a negative impact on our mood.
Right.
So it's not about ditching technology altogether. It's about using it in a way that supports our well-being.
Exactly. Detoxing doesn't mean you have to go off the grid completely. It's about making conscious choices and finding what works for you.
I tried a digital detox once. Lasted about 3 hours. Then I caved and ended up scrolling through cat videos for an hour.
So how do we make these changes stick? What are some practical tips for unplugging without having to go full hermit? One of the simplest yet most effective things you can do is turn off non-essential notifications. That constant barrage of pings and buzzes is a huge contributor to stress and distraction. You could also try converting your phone to grayscale.
Grayscale.
It might sound odd, but it actually makes your phone less visually stimulating and therefore less tempting to pick up.
Grayscale. Really, I'm skeptical, but I'm willing to try anything at this point. Has it worked for you?
I've found it to be surprisingly effective. It really does take the shine off those bright, colorful apps that are designed to keep us hooked. Another helpful tip is to create no phone zones in your home, like the bedroom, the dining room, or anywhere you want to be fully present.
I never thought of it that way. But wouldn't that mean having to explain to people why I'm not answering their texts at the dinner table?
It might take some adjusting at first, but it's about setting boundaries and prioritizing real-world interactions. There's actually a study called the iPhone effect, which showed that even the presence of a phone on the table can negatively impact the quality of in-person conversations. It's like our brains are constantly anticipating that next notification, even if we're not consciously aware of it.
That is a great point. It's almost like we've become conditioned to prioritize our digital connections over our real-world ones. Creating those no-phone zones is a way of reclaiming some of that space and attention for the people right in front of us.
Precisely. It's a way of showing the people you're with that you value their company and are fully engaged in the moment.
This is all great stuff. I'm already starting to think about some changes I want to make in my own digital life. But one thing that keeps coming up for me is the idea that this can't just be a one-time cleanse. We need strategies for mindful tech use in the long haul.
You're absolutely right. It's about developing sustainable habits, not just a temporary fix.
So let's brainstorm some ideas for making this a lifestyle change. I've been trying to get back into reading actual books instead of just scrolling through articles online.
That's a fantastic start. Engaging in offline activities and hobbies is a key part of this. There are tons of options.
Right.
Walking, exercising, playing a sport, joining a club, taking up a creative hobby like painting or knitting. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just something that gets you moving and engaged in the real world.
I bet those offline activities also help with stress reduction, which is something we've already identified as a big issue related to technology overuse.
Absolutely. Exercise in particular is known to reduce stress hormones and improve mood.
What about scheduling specific times to check email and social media? Instead of constantly refreshing our feeds, we could designate, say, an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening for digital catch-up. That way we're still staying connected, but it's on our terms, and we're not letting it bleed into every aspect of our day.
That's a really smart strategy. It's all about taking back control of your time and attention. There are even apps that can help you with this. They can block distracting websites and apps during certain times of day, so you can focus on your work or other activities without temptation.
That's pretty ironic, isn't it? Using technology to limit technology.
It is a bit ironic.
It's like fighting fire with fire, but in a good way.
Yeah.
There's got to be more to this, though, right? What about those deeper strategies like mindfulness?
You're right. We need to go beyond just setting external limits and start cultivating a more mindful approach to technology from the inside out. And that's where mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness is all about being present in the moment and paying attention to your thoughts and feelings without judgment. So when you feel that urge to check your phone, instead of just giving in automatically, pause for a moment and notice the sensation. What does it feel like in your body? Where is the urge coming from? Just by bringing awareness to the craving, you're already starting to create some distance between yourself and the impulse.
So instead of being controlled by those urges, we're learning to observe them and make conscious choices about how we respond. That sounds promising, but it also sounds kind of difficult.
It definitely takes practice, but it's a skill that can be learned. And there are lots of different mindfulness techniques you can try, like meditation, deep breathing exercises, or even just taking a few moments to focus on your senses. What do you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch in this moment? The key is to find what works for you and to be patient with yourself.
Okay, so mindfulness is about being present, noticing those urges, and finding healthy ways to manage them.
Got it.
But I think a lot of people, myself included, might be wondering, how does this actually play out in real life? Are there people who are actually making this work?
Absolutely. There are tons of people who are successfully integrating these principles into their lives and reaping the benefits. One person who comes to mind is Ariana Huffington. She's a well-known media mogul, and she actually co-founded a company called Thrive Global, which is all about promoting well-being and reducing burnout. And a big part of that is encouraging a more balanced approach to technology.
Right, I've heard of Thrive Global. They've got some great resources on their website. So what kind of changes has she made in her own life?
She's a big advocate for creating no phone zones in the home, like the bedroom and the dining room. She also limits her screen time to only the most essential activities and makes a conscious effort to prioritize in-person interactions over virtual ones.
That's encouraging to hear. It's one thing for us to talk about these ideas, but it's another thing to see someone like Ariana Huffington, who's so deeply embedded in the tech world, actually walking the walk.
I agree. And it's not just about individual changes. Thrive Global also works with companies to create more mindful workplace cultures, encouraging things like digital detox breaks and setting limits on after-hours email communication.
It's great that these conversations are happening at the organizational level. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ariana Huffington is one example. Who else is out there making this work?
Another interesting example is Matt D'Avella, a filmmaker and YouTuber who decided to take a month-long break from social media.
Whoa, a whole month. That's impressive. What made him decide to do that?
He was feeling overwhelmed by the constant pressure to create content and engage with his followers online. He felt like it was draining his creativity and preventing him from focusing on the work that really mattered to him.
So he basically needed to hit the reset button on his relationship with social media. What happened during his month off?
He reported feeling a lot more clarity and focus. He was able to devote more time to his creative projects. And he said he came back to social media with a fresh perspective and a renewed sense of purpose.
That's fantastic. It must have been tough at first to resist that urge to check in and see what everyone was doing, but it sounds like he ultimately reaped the rewards of that disconnection.
Definitely. It's a great example of how taking a break, even a temporary one, can help you recalibrate and come back to technology with a healthier mindset.
These are really inspiring stories. It's clear that there's a growing awareness of the need for a more balanced approach to technology. Are there any other trends you're seeing emerge in this space?
There's definitely a movement happening. There's a growing interest in things like digital detox retreats and workshops. People are actually paying good money to go off the grid completely for a few days or even a week to reconnect with nature, with themselves, and with each other without the distraction of technology.
Wow, digital detox retreats. That's taking things to a whole new level. What exactly happens at these retreats?
It varies, but they usually involve things like yoga meditation, nature walks, group discussions, and workshops on mindful technology use. They're designed to help people break free from their digital dependence and develop healthier habits that they can take back into their everyday lives.
That sounds amazing. I can definitely see the appeal of that. It's like hitting the pause button on the digital world and giving yourself the time and space to really unplug and recharge. It's like a vacation for your mind.
That's a perfect way to put it. And the fact that these retreats are becoming so popular really speaks to how much people are craving a break from technology and a deeper connection with themselves and the world around them.
It's incredible to see how this movement is evolving. From individual changes to company initiatives to full-blown retreats, it's clear that people are starting to wake up to the potential downsides of our digital lives and seeking out solutions. But like we've been saying all along, detoxing isn't a one-time thing. It's about creating sustainable habits for the long haul. And that's where things can get tricky. Even with the best intentions, it's easy to slip back into old patterns, especially when we're constantly bombarded with digital temptations.
You're absolutely right. Maintaining a healthy relationship with technology requires ongoing effort and attention. It's like any other aspect of our well-being. We need to be proactive and make conscious choices every day.
So let's shift gears a bit and talk about strategies for maintaining a healthy digital diet, so to speak, in the long term. What are some things our listeners can do to make sure they don't fall back into those bad habits after they've done a digital detox?
One of the most important things is to be mindful of your triggers. What are the situations or emotions that tend to lead you down the rabbit hole of endless scrolling or checking your phone every 5 seconds?
Right, so if you can identify those triggers, you can start to develop strategies for dealing with them in a healthier way.
Yes. For example, if you know that you tend to reach for your phone when you're feeling bored or lonely, then you can brainstorm other activities you can do instead, like calling a friend, going for a walk, or reading a book.
Or if you know that you get sucked into social media when you're feeling stressed or anxious, maybe you could try a relaxation technique like deep breathing or meditation instead.
That's exactly it. It's all about having those alternative coping mechanisms in place so you're not just relying on your phone to soothe your emotions.
That's a helpful way to think about it. Know your triggers and have a plan.
I like it.
What are some other strategies for long-term digital wellness?
Well, we've already talked about setting limits, but it's worth reiterating because it's so important. Decide how much time you want to spend on certain apps or websites each day, and then stick to those limits. There are lots of apps that can help you with this, like those we mentioned earlier, that can block distracting websites and apps during certain times of day.
And it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Maybe you decide you're going to allow yourself 30 minutes of Instagram per day, or that you're only going to check email twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening. Whatever works for you.
Right. It's about finding what works for your individual lifestyle and needs. And remember, it's okay to adjust your limits as needed. If you find you're constantly going over your allotted time, then maybe it's time to reevaluate and make some changes.
It's also okay to give yourself a break every now and then. We're not aiming for perfection here, just for a more balanced and healthy relationship with technology. But I think that's a good segue into the last part of this episode, creating a personalized plan. I'm ready to start putting all of this great advice into action.
Me too. Let's do it.
Welcome back to the English Podcast Lab. We've explored the downsides of being always on the science behind our tech addiction, and even heard some inspiring stories of people who've successfully detoxed their digital lives. Now let's get down to the nitty-gritty, creating your own personalized digital detox plan.
That's a great way to frame it. Remember, there's no one-size-fits-all approach here. It's about figuring out what works best for you, your lifestyle, and what you're hoping to achieve. It's like designing a healthy meal plan.
Right.
You wouldn't eat the same thing every day, right? You'd think about what your body needs, what you enjoy, and maybe even consult with a nutritionist.
Right.
Creating a digital detox plan is similar.
Okay, I love that analogy. So let's break down this recipe for digital wellness. What are the key ingredients of a successful plan?
Well, the first step is identifying your goals. What are you hoping to gain by taking a break from technology?
Okay.
Do you want to reduce stress and anxiety, improve your sleep, boost your productivity, be more present in your relationships? Having a clear vision of your why will help you stay motivated when things get tough.
That makes total sense. Because let's be real, it's not always easy to resist those digital temptations.
Yeah.
So knowing why we're doing this in the first place can make all the difference. Okay, once we've got those goals locked in, what's next?
Next, you need to take stock of your current digital habits. How much time are you actually spending on your devices each day?
Yeah.
Which apps or websites are your biggest time suckers? When and where are you most likely to get pulled in? This is where those screen time tracking apps we talked about can come in handy. They can give you some valuable data on your digital behavior.
Right. You can't manage what you don't measure. So we track our screen time, figure out our triggers. What then?
Then comes the fun part, setting boundaries.
No.
This is where you get to decide what a healthy digital diet looks like for you. Do you want to create no phone zones in your home? Schedule specific times for checking email and social media? Maybe limit your use of certain apps or websites altogether? This is where you get to be creative and come up with a plan that truly fits your individual needs and preferences.
This is where things get really personal, right? What works for one person might not work for another. Some people might thrive on a complete digital fast for a day or two, while others might prefer a more gradual approach, like slowly cutting back their screen time each week.
Absolutely. There's no single right answer here. It's all about experimenting and figuring out what feels right for you. It's important to remember that you don't have to do this alone.
Okay.
Talking to your friends and family about your digital detox goals can be incredibly helpful. They can hold you accountable and maybe even join you on the journey.
I love that. It's like having a built-in support system to cheer you on and help you stay on track. And while you're working on reducing your screen time, it's a perfect opportunity to rediscover some of those things you used to love doing before you got so plugged in. Maybe it's reading, writing, spending time in nature, connecting with friends and family in person, or even learning a new skill.
That's such a great point. This is a chance to reconnect with yourself and the things that truly bring you joy and fulfillment.
This is all so inspiring. I'm feeling motivated to start making some changes right away. But I know from experience that it's easy to get caught up in the excitement of a new challenge and then lose steam after a few days or weeks. What are some tips for staying motivated and on track with our digital detox plans over the long term?
That's a great question. It's definitely a challenge to maintain new habits, especially when it comes to something as pervasive as technology. One thing that can help is to track your progress. Whether you use a journal, a spreadsheet, or an app, simply seeing how much you've reduced your screen time or how many days in a row you've stuck to your plan can be incredibly motivating.
It's like having visual proof that you're making progress, even if it's slow and steady.
It really is. Another tip is to celebrate your wins no matter how small they may seem. Did you manage to resist checking your phone during dinner?
Yeah.
Give yourself a pat on the back. Did you go a whole day without social media? Treat yourself to something you enjoy.
I love those ideas. Those little rewards can make such a big difference, especially in the early stages of habit change.
Indeed. And remember, it's okay to adjust your plan as needed. Life happens, unexpected things come up, and sometimes you just need a break. Don't be afraid to tweak your boundaries or give yourself a little grace when things don't go perfectly according to plan.
That's such an important reminder. It's all about finding what works for you and being flexible enough to adapt to life's inevitable curveballs. Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. We've covered so much ground and given our listeners a ton of practical tips and strategies for creating a healthier and more balanced relationship with technology. Any final words of wisdom before we sign off?
Just remember that you are in control. Technology can be an amazing tool, but it's up to each of us to decide how and when we use it. By making conscious choices and setting healthy boundaries, we can reclaim our time, energy, and attention and live more fulfilling and meaningful lives. So what are you waiting for? Start your digital detox journey today.
That's a perfect note to end on. And to all of our listeners, we hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into the world of digital detoxing. If you're looking for more insightful discussions on topics that matter, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. We'll see you in the next episode.